Welcome to our academic deep dive, the balance of research integrity and open criticism.
And the journal says it's not a good fit for us. So you don't want to waste that effort. You find as good an outlet as possible for your work. So I follow those kinds of, more personally motivated efforts and initiatives. I also published a book recently with my wife. The book doesn't quote unquote count as part of scholarship as far as the university is concerned, though it is recognized as being active in the intellectual space. The school recognizes that, and the school appreciates whatever coverage and visibility we get and the school gets as a consequence of publishing that book.
Let's say someone goes out, they publish an article in one of the top journals, right? And let's say 4 years from now, whatever they said is proven wrong. Does that make that original author look bad because he didn't do research, or you just say, hey, things change over 3 or 4 years, or?
Yeah. So thank you for that question. It is always something that we academics are thinking about. We're kind of sort of walking on eggshells, so to speak. So if your research is challenged, there could be types of challenge that your research faces. One type of challenge is that your research was flawed fatally, which means
I'm guessing that has to be a pretty bad.
That's
thing.
a bad association.
Right?
You don't want that. If you've used bad methodology, bad theories, in the worst case, you have actually violated the classic academic standard and you have not reported the truth. You've actually made up the data or the story. Then in some cases, we know that their careers are over. In some cases, where there was a professor who was found to have done this repetitively over 30, 40 papers of his. So yes, there is a mechanism where your paper is retracted and it becomes public knowledge for eternity. Your name will be on that website. Papers retracted.
I have to imagine academic circle is kind of small, right? It's not like there's like billions of people who are academics or have a pretty small group of people.
It is a small enterprise. So in the marketing field, which I'm in, I would say, of course, there are thousands of professors all over the planet. Having said that, I think there are probably, and I may be wrong here, 2,000 to 2,500 of us who are publishing research in the top journals, who are publishing books, who are teaching at good universities, and we connect with each other at some point or time or the other. We meet at conferences and so on. So it's a very small community. You think about it, just 2,500, 3,000 of us on this planet who are, driving knowledge in marketing, so to speak. And again, I stand corrected because I'm sure my colleagues will send me an email who are listening to this, and I'll be happy to receive their criticism and pushback. So yeah, it is a small community, and sometimes your research is called out. So another case is when your research is called out, not because it is fatally flawed, but because science progresses. Today we believe X. Somebody says, X is true only in some circumstances. Under other circumstances, Y is true. So that is not sort of a death knell for the research which published X. That's how science progresses. It progresses incrementally. It tells us that theory was good at that point in time. Today, we have to relook at this theory and we have to recalibrate our understanding of the phenomenon. Those things we all understand go on, and it is not seen as an attack on your professionalism, on your character integrity, or on your abilities or on your skills. So depending on why the research is called out, I think that matters.
I would think like if someone published an article and they got criticism, they got real defensive, to me that'd be a red flag, right? Aren't you a scientist? Like you should be open to criticism and open peer review, right?
Yeah, I think scientists should be open to criticism, and most of us, I think, are. Peer review is the process that we have grown up with, which is basically founded on the principle that good research will be published after it has gone through very severe tests of rigor through review process. So we all understand that. Having said that, I think science is a beautiful, beautiful human idea. So yes, we should be open to criticism, but we also have the privilege and the right to rebut criticism. That's how science progresses. That's sometimes defensive. Sometimes that is how intellectual domains progress. So if I publish a paper and let's say you criticize it and you have good reason to criticize it, I have the opportunity to say, yes, you're right under these circumstances, but I don't believe you're right under these circumstances, or I think you read the paper completely wrong. This is what I'm trying to say, but you misinterpreted it. So I think science gives all of us those degrees of freedom to criticize and then to rebut and to, respond.
Yeah, I have to think if someone criticizes your work, they have to come with some kind of fact. They can't just say, "Hey, Shelly, this is wrong because I don't like you," right? They have to like have some kind of reference, some facts, something to back it up, right?
I'm sure 99% of us who challenge published research have intellectual reasons to do that and have evidence and ammunition to do that. Because if you challenge research without evidence, which is compelling, without good reason, intellectual good reason, then the way science progresses, the criticizer, the critic, could become, unfortunately, the laughing stock.
Yeah.
Having said that, even the published paper which has been criticized will face some negative, associations because, today narratives go out of our control very, very quickly. Some damage has been done, and then recovering from it takes a long time. But all these opportunities I have seen play out in our field, and all of them are very relevant, aspects of our profession.
So these journals, do they pay you to put stuff in their journals, or this part of your job you have to do as a professor to
Yes.
put in there?
Some of them ask for payment, some of them don't. And so that's the short answer to your question. Whether the payment is a signal of quality, whether the journal that asks you for payment is incentivized to make money and therefore they will publish anything, and therefore the quality is suspect, that is a theory some of us have espoused. I don't know what the truth is, to be perfectly honest. So I will hold my judgment on that.
So let's go forward like January 1st, 2025. You have like a goal each year to be published in a certain number of journals or do a certain number of academic peer reviews, or how does that work?
So in my school, which is the Foster School of Business, this is what our algorithm is. We get financial incentives for publishing one paper every 3 years in a specific list of journals. So in marketing, there are 8 journals. If we publish one paper every 3 years in one of these 8 journals, then we get the financial incentive that is promised on paper. That is really the formula that Foster School uses. Other schools might have different mechanisms and algorithms and models. So it doesn't have to be in 1 year. It can be once every 3 years, as in my case, in our case. Some people publish at a crazy speed. Some people publish 2 papers every year. Some of us publish 1 paper every 3 years. Some of us have bad fortune and we can't publish a paper once in 5 years, but then in the 5th year, we get 2 papers. That's how the research process works. It's not a uniform distribution. It can be jerky. It sometimes comes in bunches.